listening to the Giggles Live Radio Network.
You're listening to Port and Stuff on the Giggles Live Radio Network. Port and Stuff, very important stuff.
Important stuff.
We cover many important things, including the Big Banana Festival, which I think will be the day that this launches. That should be that day. So the Big Banana Festival at the port, the beautiful port of Hueneme.
The beautiful, productive port of Hueneme. You know what's cool? We just had a trip to Washington. 2 of our council members went with the port representatives, the CEO and our city manager, and they all went to Washington to lobby for good things for the port of Hueneme.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so as a host city, you know, we have a partnership and we work together. The port relies on the city, and of course the city gets revenue from the port, and we want to make sure the experience of all the beautiful big products, including billions of bananas, you know, they get to their destination and get to where they're going. So it's all about logistics and making cargo move.
That's one of the beautiful things about this area is everybody has to kind of work together. You have the port, you have the port itself, the city, Port Hueneme, and you have the military base.
Yep, the Naval Base, Ventura County.
Yeah, see, we got to get a better name for that.
Yeah.
It's got to be a better name than that. Because Port Hueneme, it took me forever to learn how to say it.
Yeah.
But, you know, they can come up with something better.
We just had a lady today. It's like, why, me?
Yeah, that's it.
And the HUE really throws people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he.
Yeah, I used to say that on the radio. I'm from Northern California, so I would say it, and I would kind of say it the way it was spelled. Yeah. And I'd get people to give me a hard time, and I'm like, well, it's not like it's exactly the way it's spelled, you know, HEGHIHOTP. You know, like, it doesn't look anything like what it's spelled. One of the fascinating things that we discovered about our beautiful port while we're doing all of our kind of deep dive into the Borinquen and all that and the war efforts is that more stuff went through the port of Hueneme than all of the other ports. Like, it was the main port for getting stuff out to the war.
It was the Pacific Theater logistical hub. There's some photographs. I don't know if you remember when I was a young kid at the time when the La Janelle was laying on its side on the Silver Strand Beach. There was Quonset huts, and Quonset hut is the quintessential barrack, right? Mm-hmm. And so there were still leftover Quonset huts, and they actually sold some of the houses you see at Silver Strand. Were the lots had a Quonset hut on it, and some people actually bought the lot with it on it there. And so the whole area was the Pacific Theater logistical hub.
Yeah,
thousands and thousands of CBs came through here, and thousands and tons and stuff that needed for the war effort out there in the Pacific.
Makes you wonder. We have to find out the path of the Borinquen, because at some point Borinquen had to be on this side and go from somewhere, you know, transporting troops out there.
Well, she is on this side currently.
Yeah. She's on this side and on her side.
Yeah. Well, but because she, for so many of her years, she was going out of Miami, you know, and New York. So at some point, she may have been here, and maybe kind of a return home of sorts. I don't know.
We brought this up the other day, and I don't know if you've seen this yet, but in Ventura, right outside of the Ventura River, there are some machine gun turrets that they put there, thinking the Japanese were going to attack. But yeah, they're still out there, these gun turrets. We used to surf out there a lot. Let's go surf gun turrets.
Mr. Magoo with the traffic. Hey, Madison Joy, what are you doing?
She's running around.
Oh, is she outside?
Yeah.
She's just not doing her job. That's why Magoo's acting crazy.
She's outside playing with Magoo.
Well, she's failed her contractual obligation to keep Magoo occupied.
Magoo has his own way of thinking.
She's not sitting out there with a couple of gophers in her lap, is she?
I hope not.
She's,
Actually, it's the squirrels that he's really interested in. It's funny, he ignores the ducks, but man, the squirrels.
he ignores the duck.
He just
Interesting.
looks at him like whatever, but he sees a squirrel.
Well, duck's kind of nasty. I've had duck. One of my comedy gigs, and they're like, well, this is kind of fancy people food, and we know you're not used to it, but we want you to try it. And I was like, no, thanks. Oh, you're gonna like it finally, and I was just no.
Yeah, here it's greasy.
It's like it was greasy, too chewy, too salty chicken is what it tasted like, and there was nothing about it that tasted good to me. I was like, why? I didn't even make it past the first bite.
A lot of ducks in Wainimi.
Is there?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of cats in Wainimi.
No, there is a lot of cats
Yeah.
too, but there's a lot of ducks if you walk along Bubbling Springs.
Oh, interesting.
We'll have to go out there with some bread.
No, you don't. That's the thing. You don't want to feed ducks bread.
No,
It's really bad for their digestive system.
is it?
Yeah, and so
Yeah, it is.
a lot of places have signs up that say, "Hey, don't feed the ducks bread."
It seems like an odd. I'm guessing it's just what people did with bread when it got old and moldy or something like that. It does
Yeah.
seem like an odd thing to just go, hey, I'm going to give this bread to a duck.
Yeah, I think it's like the gluten thing too. It's like, but they sure like it.
Yeah, they
I think
do.
Cheez-Its might be better than bread.
I like.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
are. Cheese
Think
are
so?
so much better than not better than the sourdough bread that comes out of Wainimi Bakehouse, but better than most breads. Yes.
So what do you
Cheez-Its
think,
are
Tommy?
awesome.
What's better,
Oh, I don't know.
Cheez-Its?
I like sourdough grilled cheeses.
Ooh, yeah.
Those are good. I also learned, remember Puppy Dog Pals? Harlan Williams started
Yeah,
that show.
Harlan Williams, yeah.
Yeah, on that show they did an episode where they said that the ducks didn't like the bread, so they just hid it from the entire town. So I wonder if I wonder if that was the way of telling people, hey, don't feed ducks bread. It's not good for them.
Yeah,
You
interesting.
know, like they don't want bread.
Well, they'll eat bread, but it's not good for them.
Yeah. So that might be
Makes them gassy.
his way trying to get the kids to say, hey, let's give the ducks bread so they want. Oh,
One time,
there's Mugu again.
yeah, one time a bunch of frogs had, you have what's it called, a tadpole?
Oh yeah.
And then it becomes a half a tadpole, and then has a leg and back legs, and it becomes a frog. And so the ducks, they really love little frogs. So the ducks are just waiting. Oh, look, here he comes. And then when it turns into a frog, and they're like, we just,
Oh, so they like to snack on the frog.
yeah. Oh, yeah, they love to snack on the frogs.
Talk about being patient. Like I can't stand waiting 2 minutes for my hot pocket to cook in the microwave.
I know, you would
Imagine
think
waiting
they'd
for
eat the
legs to come
what's
out
it,
of
a tadpole? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, tadpoles.
Yeah, man, I have trouble waiting for my grandpa to make me grilled cheese. He makes really good grilled cheeses.
Sign them up. Well, we're going to have to hook you up with a grilled cheese here sometime.
Yeah.
We'll give you the marble dry.
That sounds good.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, make him a good grilled cheese and you're good for life. Was Andres over at Copacabana made him a grilled cheese one time, and oh my goodness, he got a billion times his value in advertisement. Tommy talked about that grilled cheese for months.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about the Borinquen today, since
Yeah.
we have our big giant display coming up on October 1st.
Yeah, we got a bunch of relics. We got
Relics.
yeah. Well, wouldn't you call over 50-year-old menu kind of a relic?
That's a big relic.
Yeah, it's like we got Bahama Star menus, Arosa Star menus. Don't worry, they're the same ship. All these are Borinquen.
What's the Arosa Star menu? If I remember right, it's like from 40. Like it's almost 80 years old, right? Isn't it like from the 40s?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
The one that has me all excited is you found a tile
Yeah.
at Silver Strand Beach in the La Janelle as we know it today.
Yep, I found a tile fragment which will also be for display. I'll put it up for display for everyone to see.
And so for anyone out there wondering, like, how do you know that came? Well, because you do some research, right?
Just the very fact that it was inside La Janelle and,
Like somebody put it there.
It was planted from another ship.
Someone's like, hey, I'm going to make some fake relics.
Well, it's funny because a friend of mine, I was all excited a while ago. I'm like, man, for some reason, there's all this sea glass out here. This friend of mine, turns out he's been breaking bottles and tumbling glass.
Oh, how
And
funny.
planting it out there. And I'm like, you know what? I knew better because these are big pieces. The pieces that we like are the smaller ones, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you got to break them more. What? Yeah, you don't find sea glass that big. And I have it on my dinner table over there, and it's like,
You're like, this sea glass has the Budweiser logo still imprinted on it.
Yeah. Well, this sea glass says 1988.
Right?
1988 Super Bowl.
yeah, we want to find, but going back.
That's a callback. I do have a soda bottle with the Super Bowl, 1988 Super Bowl. That's why he went there.
Oh, wow. It's like, wait a minute, what's it doing in the bottom of the La Janelle?
It's glass and it still has the original soda in it. My dad got it at a yard sale for me.
You know, that piece of tile, though, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He photo matched it to make sure that it was legit.
Yep. I photo matched it. Well,
Now, how did you photo match it?
tile obviously, like, it's not an exact match because things get more weathered over
Right.
time. So it had, like, I could tell though that there was some paint from the red on there. That's one way I could tell because I could just see, oh, there's some red stains, which is bound to happen if they're with red tiles. Because the water weathers away, and the red paint eventually comes off, and it makes sense for some of it to end up on the white tiles, right?
You sound like an archaeologist.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, a lot of it, they're all the same color. White tiles looks like they're around the same, like, tan, since it was probably under the sun for a little while. But yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, in the Bahamas.
Well, and also the ocean, you know,
Yeah.
that salt water will take away pigment from color. It'll change color of
it'll
stuff too.
warp stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've been learning a lot about metal welding and watching these contractors doing work for us at my work, and I came to realize that metal is kind of like an ice cube in a sense, but the only thing, an ice cube will disappear pretty quickly when it's hot. Metal will turn to liquid when it's at the right temperature, right? That's how you weld. But also metal, if you just leave it somewhere, it'll disappear eventually. And some of the pieces of the La Janelle that I have, that pipe back there behind me in the backyard, it's literally almost paper thin now.
Yeah.
You know?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and then when you look at the bigger piece I have, it's got really thick, good metal still, and then it's like, wow, this thing's been out there for 100 years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's still deteriorating and turning back to dust, you know, so given enough time, it'll be gone.
Well, that's all the concerns that we hear about with the Titanic. We have only one company has the salvage rights to go pull stuff out of there, but then there's the moral dilemma. Like, do we pull things out just so that we can have them up here, or do we let them stay down there? And then if the ship does collapse, there's different theories on what's going to happen with the ship ultimately, but some people believe the ship could collapse and, you know, destroy whatever relics are in there. So there's kind of like that dilemma now. Should we bring stuff up or should we just leave it be?
The bottom of the ocean is so mysterious. So,
Yeah.
you know, why mess with it?
It's so crazy because you'll see the metals like twisted and turned and like just so unbelievably, almost like it was a piece of paper. But then you'll see a beautiful porcelain cup that looks like it was just printed yesterday laying at the bottom of the floor in the wreckage. It's just such a weird thing. Porcelain is not tough. Like, how is that possible?
Let me remind you, the Titanic was a ship that was supposedly unsinkable,
Right.
but it was sunken by a piece of ice.
Yeah.
You could simply just, like, it's a thing that you put inside your water cup to make your ice cold. Like, you seriously drink ice water.
But yeah, how could an ice cube, well, it's a big ice cube, but
Yeah, big and jagged and stuff.
take down a ship?
Well, you know what they say? They say that suckers can't fade the cube.
Oh,
That's true.
Because you see the iceberg.
Yeah.
There's pictures
There's
where they
a-
believe that's the iceberg, but the thing with an iceberg is you only see like a
Yeah.
16th of it or something like
Yeah,
that.
you only see,
the
like-
bulk of it's underwater.
Yeah, most of it's underwater, and it's all probably jagged.
yeah, and you know, I just showed you that ocean floor topography map, which I bought, and it's of this area. You could see the islands as they are today. And then you could also see that when the water level was 300 feet lower, the Channel Islands were one big island. Think about Earth and water and shipping, and 2/3 of the Earth is water. Centuries, boats were the main way of moving around the ocean. And, it's just crazy how much is unknown what's at the bottom.
It really is.
Yeah, but we know there's a ship down there called Titanic, and there's relics.
Yeah, and there's a ship right on the shore named Janelle.
And she's slowly turning back to dust.
Yeah.
Yes, she is slowly turning back to dust. That's the interesting thing, is that you can go out there and there's going to be pieces that are loose that weren't when they weren't yesterday or the day before. Or whatever.
What's interesting is that if you go over there, if you look at the stern section, that's the one facing the port, you can actually see where the rudder was.
Really?
You can see the hole where they put the rudder in. I just noticed that because the rudder part is much higher up than the keel.
When we would go out there, we weren't really sure, being that we weren't from the area and didn't see the pictures of it when it originally wrecked and stuff. We weren't sure if we were on the bow or the stern, and we kind of thought maybe it was the bow because it has the big hole, and we're thinking, oh, maybe this is where the anchor comes from, where the anchor's at, and that's originally what we thought it was. After kind of figuring it out, Tommy kind of figured out that it's the back of the ship that we were on, not the front.
Yeah, she sunk stern facing the port, so that would make sense. So I think what we were looking at is actually the keel of the ship.
I know there's some great photos of people surfing off the bow. It's really cool because you can see the rudder. Maybe you can't see the rudder, but you can see the shaft, because it was on its side this way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can see it down there. You're right.
And so I remember this vividly.
It's the thing that bangs. You can hear it. It bangs against the rocks. It still moves.
Really?
Yeah.
That
Go
is
ahead.
so
Sorry, I
great.
didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but I remember as a little kid, seeing people, there's really, really good waves, and they're surfing off the bow of it. And so when I got into surfing at Silver Strand Beach and other places, but we did spend a lot of time at Silver Strand Beach, there was a surf shop called Port, I believe. In there, they had some really cool pictures of people surfing off the back of the ship.
For a lot of people, that's where her story began.
Yeah, and there's pictures, from what I understand, the story is, and I don't know if we verified this yet, but the story is that they couldn't afford the wharfage fees to keep her inside the port of Wainimi, and so they towed her out and anchored her to save money, and then the storm came.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They couldn't afford docking fees, so they decided, let's go and tow her out. What's interesting is that they have a part that's underwater called La Janelle Reef. I'm hoping I can visit it someday, take a diving trip.
Yeah, the wintertime, definitely not the time to even attempt that, but in the summertime, it's very, very calm. I've been out there at times where the water is extremely clear and there's no waves. There's literally no waves. And if you time it right, you would be able to do that.
Is that all right there at the La Janelle? Is it just the part of the La Janelle that's underwater from where we can see it? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
California isn't really the best place for scuba diving because the water's murky and, there's always a lot of movement.
Yeah.
But if the conditions are right, that would be really cool.
Yeah, when I went to Catalina, they had some clear water, but over here though, the water is so clear in the port.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, it goes through little cycles because sometimes that red tide comes filtering through, which has been happening lately. And then when it gets dark, it gets bioluminescent.
Oh, is it going to be bioluminescent tonight?
It could.
Maybe I'll take the kids out and see if we could see that. It's pretty cool where the waves kind of glow in the dark. Have you ever seen pictures of that?
Yeah, I have the bioluminescent plankton, right?
Yeah, you can see it. I think it's out there now.
So they're over there now, huh?
Yeah. There's a great scene in the movie Apollo 13 when they're talking to Tom Hanks as the character, and he says, I'm flying the jet, and all the lights went out, and there was bioluminescence from the rudder of the aircraft carrier he's looking for. That's what guided him into the aircraft carrier was the bioluminescence. Because, when the prop turns, it really does leave a trail like you see when an airplane goes by with a vapor trail. But yeah.
What's interesting is that I learned that the Yarmouth Castle made a background appearance in a movie. I'm not sure what the movie was called. Well, I can't remember it, but I do know that he did appear in the movie background.
Nice.
In the Yarmouth Castle, for those who may not have listened to the other episodes, is the ship that caught on fire and was saved by Carl Brown and the Bahama Star.
Yeah.
Bahama Star crew. They got so close to that fire that the funnel on
paint on the funnels
on
was
the
a frying.
Really?
Yeah, fried the paint on the Bahama Star.
Wow. We call the La Janelle the hero ship, right? Mm-hmm. Always there doing good.
Always there for important stuff. I mean, being part of World War II, and being right there on the beaches of Normandy, and serving as a hospital ship and a transport, and
First burial at sea.
yeah, that's the crazy thing. That's the first burial at sea during World War II was performed off of the Borinquen. Wow.
Yeah, and now think that ship is now serving as an artificial reef. She's still doing important things today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, that song by Madonna, You Must Be My Lucky Star.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Because it got the nickname Lucky Star, right? During World War II.
Lucky Star, wow.
We'll have to put the Lucky Star into our playlist for the big expo.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of music going. Got to put the Ballad of the Yarmouth Castle. Got to put the Edmonds.
I forgot about that. There's a song about it, right?
Yeah.
A big, long song.
Part of the display. We have it on the display where you can see like the album cover, and it kind of explains it. It's kind of cool.
So now, do we know factually that Lucky Star was like a nickname, right? It wasn't the actual name. No.
The only names that she ever had, it was the Borinquen, the USAT Borinquen, just basically because it was acquisition from the United States, and then it was the Puerto Rico for a very short period of time. Then it was Arosa Star, and then Bahama Star, and then La Janelle.
Yeah.
Because I think somewhere I read on the internet, of course, everything on the internet's true, right? But I think I read somewhere they Lucky Star something popular.
Yeah, I've seen people like in comments mention, they say American Star and Lucky Star. I've heard a couple of things.
But we say the hero ship.
The American Star is a real ship. They might have been referring to that one. The American Star was the SS America. I saw a picture of the Bahama Star as well as a star in front of the America. So that means she was at a really good port. She must have been at a really big port. Ships like that don't go to minor ports.
And if I remember correctly, she was the Rosa Star during the 1950s, so it'll be like the 1950s.
Yeah, could be the SS United States. I don't think so, though. I think it was the Star.
I wonder if current day modern ships, and we see them go by every day here at the Port of Hueneme. What's interesting is that the ships that we see out there, the major cargo carrying ships, they're so big. They have like 10,000 containers on them. But I wonder if they have a story. They have to have a story, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And so every ship has a story, but you watch these big old ships go by, and it's like, wow, where did they come from? What's their story?
Yeah.
Have they saved anyone's life?
It's like a little city out there in the And then you see some crews I've noticed a couple of the crews pick up trash while they're out there. Like they'll be out there and they'll grab trash out of I don't know how they do it, but that I've seen like some of the stuff that they bring back. So that's kind of cool to see that people are kind of making that effort too. That might be more from the fishing boats I might be thinking of.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy too because I just had this vision, like all those little starlight satellites up in space. Like who's gonna take those, pick them up?
They're eventually going to come into the ocean. I think. I think that's the plan. Is they just eventually burn out and just drop, right?
Yeah, probably. What's interesting is that there's this one kind of like a tour boat. It took me over to Santa Cruz Island, and we saw a plastic balloon in the water. So yeah, they picked it up.
Yeah, that was I think it was a fishing boat that was what they had, was a bunch of Mylar balloons, and they were like, stop letting go of your balloons because they end up somewhere.
When I went out to Anacapa Island when I was in 8th grade, long time ago, we climbed up on a ladder to get up on the island.
So I went to Anacapa for fishing, but we didn't actually get off the boat.
Sid Catalina.
But we went to Anacapa right by the arch. So there's a house out there where
there's like a lighthouse and a house.
There's a lighthouse and there's a living quarters, and I think there's a ranger that lives out there. But anyways, so we get there and the boat's rocking, and then there's a staircase that's all rusted. And we're in 8th grade, and we go up this staircase to the island. Then we toured the top of Anacapa Island. That staircase was in operation till I think like 10 years ago.
Oh, man.
And I think they replaced it. So, yeah, we'll have to. It'd be cool if we could figure out how to get on Anacapa. Anacapa is really cool because it's small. And so you could walk from one end to the other and back in a day.
It looks really cool too. It's got
Yeah.
the colorful bluffs, and it's like it looks really cool.
But it is treacherous because there are cliffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks.
Yeah.
It looks dangerous too. That was my thought also.
I remember that. Tons of cliffs. When I went to Santa Cruz Island, that's what it looked like. And they actually had to have actual nets put together to keep the island from splitting apart. And I remember we actually had to take a ladder to get up to the other part of the dock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that mental image. It was just like down, like underneath the dock, there were a few bars, and then it was just like one long plunge down into the ocean.
It was all like rusty, right? Like rusty metal bar.
10 feet. I remember I was probably like 3 or 4 feet tall then, so it was extremely intimidating.
Yeah, now you're almost 6 feet.
Yeah, if you're listening and you're not from our local area, man, the Channel Islands, we have the most beautiful set of islands.
Oh,
and it's
crazy good.
kind of crazy to think
Yeah.
that the rest of America doesn't even really know about it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because you could come here like every summer for a long time, and if you have bad luck, you may never see the island.
Yeah.
Because of the fog, right?
Yeah.
The
And
marine there.
if you're a college pitcher that comes and visits it at Ventura College, you might be able to see the islands from the pitching mound. The way it's set up, the pitcher can turn around and see the islands. It's so crazy.
I took a picture from what's that road called? The top road that goes all the way Ventura College.
Chole.
Yeah, and it was a really flat day, super clear day, probably in October, and you could actually see the arch. Like it's clear as day from Ventura. Wow. And you just look out there and like, oh, look, there's the arch. So, low tide, clear day, and yeah, you could see it. And I took a picture and I put it on Facebook and stuff, but it was really cool. Like, wow. I mean, some people don't know.
So not to mention, like for $200, you can go visit any of the islands.
Yeah.
Like it's really not an expensive trip. And I mean, $200, that's the very high end, most that you're going to pay for anything to go to the islands. Like it's not a super expensive day. And every time you take a trip out there, you always see dolphins and sea lions. And you always see
Island
life.
Packers takes you. Is that probably where you went?
Yeah, that's why I went. And then I went to Santa Cruz Island with Island Packers, but then I went to Catalina with Catalina Classic Cruises.
At a Long Beach.
Yeah, Long Beach. That's where I saw the Queen Mary and started falling in love with the ocean liners.
Did you see a flying fish?
Nope.
I saw a flying fish. I never knew a flying fish existed until when we went to Catalina when I was in the 8th grade. And we're sitting there cruising along, and I'm like, hold on a second. Did I just, what? And sure enough, there's a flying fish.
Wow.
They go for a long time. They come out of the water, they put their wings, and they just keep going. It's crazy.
They just shoot out for like 200 feet.
I've heard that's what the tuna are like, where you see the big, they don't fly for that long, but I heard that the tunas pop out, and that's how they know how to fish them, is they look for them, because the tuna will pop up out of the water.
Yeah, when they're having a feast, when they're like corralling anchovies or something.
Is that what it is? Yeah, they're huge. Yeah,
But no, flying fish is real. They don't flap their wings, but they fly. Well, they kind of fly.
They more glide.
Yeah. They must be able to swim really fast, though, to do that.
Speaking of flying fish, there'll be no fly fishing during beach cleanup every Saturday. I don't know. I had to come up with a transition, and that was the best I could come up with.
Well, speaking of flying marine animals, we have a phenomena at our work, flying squid.
Oh.
Yeah, because there's a calamari processing facility right next to us, and every now and then we'll find a squid in places where it shouldn't be, and we say, well, yeah, it flew in with a seagull who dropped it, and or how seagulls sometimes fight over whatever they're carrying. Yeah, so we'll find like a squid on a pipe, like, dude, how did that get there?
So this is a story that I shouldn't tell in front of my son, but the story's out there, so he'd probably find it out eventually anyway. So I got fired from a job when I was a busboy a long time ago, fresh out of the military. I worked for Randy Perigary, a big restaurateur. He's kind of the guy that launched Guy Fieri and everything up there in Sacramento. And he had a bakery, fresh bread. It was so good. At the end of the night, we threw away all the bread that wasn't used.
Right.
And a lot of times they were the big round loaves, right? And to me, the big round loaf reminds me of the Olympic discus.
Yeah.
And so I would get an audience because all the waitresses and everybody thought it was so funny. I would go out there and I'd do the whole thing, spin around, and I would throw the bread as far as I could, right?
Yeah.
You're not thinking, oh, the bread can go cause problems anywhere. It's bread. What could it do? So Sacramento has really bad rain. So apparently the bread I was throwing was landing on the roof of the light rail repair center where they fix the trains, the city trains.
Right.
My bread clogged up their rain gutters. And so they're out there working on the thing. And all of a sudden, their rain gutters all come crashing down at the same time, full of bread. So they go over to the restaurant. Like,
Wait a minute.
What's wrong with you guys?
I know this bread.
Yeah.
Like our bread has signatures too. Like if our bread was used to clog up somebody's storm drain, they'd be like, "That's Wainimi Bakehouse."
But they knew. And then my boss is like, I can't believe I have to ask you this.
Excuse me, Tom, can I talk to you for a second? Excuse, there's loaves of bread over there across the street. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, wait a minute. Why were you throwing bread?
To entertain myself and others.
He was supposed to
just
throw
fun.
it in the trash.
Yeah, it was supposed to go in the trash, but it was more fun to throw it really far.
like a disc.
And it was less stuff to carry out to the trash can.
Yeah.
Speaking of trash, there's our transition. So
Trash.
beach cleanup, very important that we
Very
get into
important.
the beach cleanup.
Yep. Every little bit matters, and every little bit you help matters a lot. And we're on a roll here in Wainimi. We've been at it, I think, 8 years. I'm pretty sure that's right on. Thousands and thousands of buckets removed from Wainimi Beach and Ormond Beach, and of course, Wainimi borders the town of Oxnard, and so we spend considerable amount of time going into Oxnard and cleaning up and being good stewards of the environment.
Yeah, and I'm sure that as whether they show it or not, I'm sure they're grateful because it's really important because it's one of those few things you're not going to put yourself out of business. Unfortunately, people aren't.
Well,
gonna get
that's the goal. That's
Yeah.
the goal. We're trying to get to a point where we're just litter free.
You would love that.
You and me.
It's going to take a lot of people getting their act together for that to happen.
Speaking of a lot of people, we're going to have about over 250 people this next Saturday.
Oh yeah,
It's quite the thing. If you guys can come and participate and just look at literally an army of people just marching down the beach to go attack an area that has a lot of rubbish.
Oh, nice. So is it kind of like a comb effort? Everybody walks side by side, and then you get over there and just really.
Yeah, some kids are slower than others. Some adults are quicker than others. Some are, more interested in getting to know the girl, who's on, because, hey, if you want to date a girl, like, hey, let's go take care of the environment on this one day. It's like, it could be a pretty good date,
Now that you're saying that, let's put a pause on the whole good intentions, everything else, because as you know, I've taken the bucket out a few times,
Yeah.
and like while the kid's out on his canoe or his kayak, almost every time I have that thing out, some young lady comes over, wants to help or wants to talk to me. So even if you're a bad person inside, go clean the beach just to get some ladies. It's worth it.
It's funny. People will come and talk to you. They'll say thank you.
Oh, so many people thanked me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I always tell them the same thing. I'm like, I don't pay for parking. It's the least I can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We have a lot of different interaction on the beach, particularly before start time. And, people will come like, what are you doing? Oh, we're just going to do some beach cleanup. You could take a bucket if you want. No, it's okay. It's okay. No, seriously, I want you to. Oh, well, no, it's okay. And they'll walk away. And then this has happened so many times. They'll be like 100 feet away. They're thinking about what I'm saying. They're like, they turn around, they come back. You know what? I will take a bucket.
Good for them.
Yeah, and so there is a little bit of I don't know, it's like a stigma, like, who's this strange guy trying to give me a bucket and a stick? I can throw the trash out there. It's like, no, that's the wrong mindset. We're trying to just, be good stewards.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's possible to do a beach cleanup and feel worse afterwards. Like it's a great feeling. Like the community, being able to talk to like-minded people, knowing the beach looks better than it did when you got there. When you dump those buckets of trash and you're just looking at all that stuff, you're like, wow, that's difference right there.
Yeah, last week when we were leading the charge out there to pick up the targeted area, I found $1.
See, there you go. Sometimes it pays off too.
Yeah, no, and in my 8 years, I think I'm up to like 96.87 or something.
Wow, we gotta keep that tab going.
Yeah, but one time I found a $10 bill.
Nice. That's
A $5.
very good.
Several ones, but mostly change. Doesn't really pay that good, but it does pay well in your spirit and your soul. Like, you're doing good.
Well, that's the reason you're doing it. You're doing it you're doing it to leave a better environment for the people around you, but it's so much more fulfilling than just getting stuff. It's a very strange thing. You're told that as a kid. It's hard to understand it when they're like, it's better to give than to receive. It's better to give than to receive.
What do you think, Tommy? Is it better to give or receive?
That depends. If you're given a boat, if you're giving someone a boat, then that feels good. But receiving a boat, if you're
Well, a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't think he even realizes how much maintenance
Give-
goes into a boat. Like
Yeah.
monthly, you have to pay somebody to wash the bottom of your boat. Like, is it every week or every month?
Yeah.
Somebody has to wash the boat, the part that's in the water. You have to have somebody
the
wash it.
keel.
Scrape it.
Yeah,
No, and they
they got to take them barnacles off.
Yeah, giving of yourself is really a good thing, and there's a lot of ways to do that, and we're doing it right now, kind of.
Example. So remember last year we did the Christmas giveaway thing over in Oxnard. Do you remember we did that? And you kind of like helped guide people on which door to go in, and Maddie stayed with Santa. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, remember how good you felt afterwards? You were very happy after that. I don't know if you remember it, but you were like very proud because you were like had to be creative in communicating with people who didn't speak the same language as you.
Yeah.
And I remember you were very proud of that, and that was like a cool breakthrough moment for him. And both kids just did great volunteering that day too.
Yeah, and then this whole thing about La Janelle and digging up artifacts and history and talking about it and trying to teach people about it that's a really good feeling too. So
It is.
that's what we're trying to do here.
It is. So let's real quick. We'll run through all the events because we're working in overtime right now, and Mr. Slate's going to come down and yell at us because he doesn't want to write them big old paychecks.
Mr. Slate, keep that.
The Flintstones reference.
Yeah, keep that pin liquid.
Who was the Jetsons boss? Spacely. Okay.
Spacely.
Yeah, there we go. So September 30th is
Banana Festival at the Port of
Festival.
Hueneme.
Port of
It's a
Hueneme.
free event. Parking's free. You get to tour the port. You get to do a lot of fun stuff. So come on down and
A good idea would be get to town early.
get to town early,
Assist
especially
with the beach cleanup.
Yeah, and if you want to have a tour, then you better get here early and get in line because that is the biggest draw of all.
Now, what exactly do they tour? Do they go around the entire port and learn all about it?
Pretty much, they show them the ins and the outs, and it always depends what makes it a little more interesting if there's ships in the harbor. Also, the equipment and the stuff that's coming in because it's tractors, excavators, wash plants, like all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, it's all brand new too. There's this big cylinder sitting out by our office right now. And so for a lot of us, just seeing all this brand new stuff is really exciting.
And then you go into October 1st. You've got our big Seaside Sports Collectors Expo. Go to venturaexpo.com to find out more on that. Right now we have 8 autograph guests. I'm sure that there's going to be more by the time it's all said and done. I've got one of my buddies at one of the gyms is going to call me tonight, and then we're going to probably lock in about four more dudes. Should be good. So
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what we're going to have in our La Janelle.
yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, we're going to drag out your big old giant piece.
Massive.
It's such a beautiful piece though, and it's
big
so
piece.
representative of the La Janelle. So it's the perfect piece for what we've got going
And I think we need to name it because it looks like a serpent. So we're going to have to think about this.
Yeah, you got to put Tommy and Maddie on that. They're a good think tank on that kind of stuff.
What's interesting, maybe we could get a stamp pad because I have a smaller piece of the La Janelle, so maybe we could get that, and then we could just print it on paper and say that's La Janelle's autograph.
There you go.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Make like a card that says La Janelle and
What is it that with dogs they put ink on their paws and they have them do a paw autograph?
Yeah.
Autographs or whatever they call
Yeah,
it.
that's what they call them.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it. We'll have the ship sign autographs. That'll be interesting. Man, they got some lunatics out there in Ventura County, boy. They legalized weed too quickly out there.
Celebrating a ship that's deteriorated in the water. But hey, it's got a history and it had a life, and that's what we want to talk about.
That's it. We celebrate her because there was definitely a lot of good deeds done from that bow.
Yeah, 100%.
The hero ship.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening to the Port and Stuff podcast. We've got to go figure out if Maddie is still alive. Thank you for listening.
Listening to the
Where's
Giggles
Maddie?
Live Radio